Hello, Hayes. My long-term boyfriend of 7 years ended our relationship very, very recently. Aside from being completely heartbroken, I'm struggling to tell my parents. I don't go to them with personal issues, so they weren't looped in when issues started in my relationship. My parents are quite attached to my now ex, and I think they thought better of me because I was in a successful and happy relationship. I'm scared to tell them because I think they'll think less of me or make comments about my relationship not working. My mom is one to judge when family members' marriages break down. I'm so anxious about telling them. I'm avoiding their calls despite really wanting some non-judgmental comfort. What should I do? Yours, broken. I think what you're highlighting here is such a good example of how one sad thing can ripple into other sad things, and suddenly the thing you were originally sad about has become like so much larger and deeper and more complicated to get through. I think it's completely normal to want comfort from your parents, despite knowing that comfort is not something you typically get from them, especially about personal topics. What you've gone through, can be so destabilizing that of course it's bringing up that childhood want to be cared for and nurtured by the people who raised you or who brought you into the world. And I think what's hard sometimes when that happens is when your want and your desire to be comforted by a parent is like juxtaposed with the reality that they can not do that. And in your letter, I think that you are, you're up against those two realities. You both want the comfort for them, and I'm not sure if you think they can give it to you. And maybe that's what we should talk about first. You're having the worst fears possible about what they could, maybe not the worst fears possible. That's a little fucking dramatic, case. Sometimes when we ourselves are in an insecure state, which of course you are right now, this breakup happened very, very recently. You included the two verys. Like when we are insecure, we might project our own feelings about our reality onto other people. So you say that you think that they're going to think less of you because your relationship didn't work. Before we get into whether that's true or not about your mother and she's judgmental, like, do you think less of you because your relationship didn't work? What are your own feelings about yourself right now? I want to tell you that you are not a lesser person because your relationship didn't work. It is not a personal failure. I know it feels like one right now. 7 years is a long time. And I'm sure you tried, I'm sure you tried to make this work. I'm sure you tried to change things about yourself. I'm sure you tried to change things about the other person. But this happened, and I bet it should have happened. And it's okay if you don't see that right now, but it's going to be okay, and it's going to work out. And there will be a point, you will get to a point in your life when you look back on this and you think anything from thank God to it's okay. You will get to that point. And this is not a personal failure, and you are not a failure. You are lovable and you are worthy and you will find love again. And, all of these are empty words. I know it's hard when you don't believe it yourself. It's hard when someone else says it to you. But I want you to consider that maybe some of these fears you have about talking to your parents and what they're going to think and say about you, maybe these are just some of your own fears and mean thoughts about yourself being echoed. I know that's certainly the case for me when I'm scared to talk about, when I'm scared to be honest about something painful with someone in my life, even those who I know do love me and are supportive and want to support me. Sometimes the voice that's like, wow, they're going to think that you're a fucking loser. They're going to be so disappointed in you. Sometimes that's really just my own disappointment in myself coming through, trying to take charge. Maybe take a moment now to be honest with yourself about how you feel about yourself in the wake of this breakup. It's very freeing to say aloud or write down our biggest fears. I am doing some I'm writing about some stuff right now, and I was getting a little bit like blocked. I could tell in my writing that I wasn't really being honest. So I've sort of taken a break from, the capital P project. In the last few days, I've actually just been trying to write very honestly, not for the purpose of the project, but like, what are my feelings? What am I actually trying to say? What are my real fears? And I've gotten much more honest on those pages about the things I'm actually scared of generally. And wow, it feels very freeing to say it out loud. And sometimes when something's happened, like a breakup, you're bottling up those fears. And I do think that most people never really admit their fears. And that must feel, I know what that feels like. I know that feels suffocating. And then I know it impacts more than when we are suffocated by our fears and we do not say them out loud. We don't even let ourselves think about them. I do believe that I do believe it like trickles out into everything we touch and the way we see ourselves and the way we interact with others and what we make. And so maybe start there. Maybe take a moment right now to like, what has this made you feel about yourself? You said devastated. Did you say devastated or did you say heartbroken? Other than that, what has this made you feel about yourself? Can you be honest with yourself about that? Start there. But back to your parents. It's a little tricky because I don't know what's true about your parents. What I mean by that is like, sometimes people in our lives, even people as close to us as theoretically a parent is or should be, like sometimes they are not able to connect with you or like be on the emotional level that you want them to. And sometimes it's not a matter of how much they love you. It's not a matter of how much they love you or how close they feel to you. It could just be they are not capable of it. Like they don't, we are all made up differently. Our brains all work differently. And some people simply will never be able to comfort you or connect with you in the way that you want. And that can be really disappointing when you are a person who wants to be with your unique set of needs, and you realize that like you and someone are not compatible in that emotional way that maybe you are with some friends of yours or with a romantic partner. And I think it can be hard when you have to interact with family members, both family members that are not chosen, the ones you're born into, or the family members that you choose or come into your life through relationships, marriage, whatever, and they can't get there with you. It's really disappointing. I think it's really important when you interact to get to a point where you know and you accept those people for who they are, so that when they show you time and time again who they are, and they can't connect about this, but maybe they can connect about that. When they show you who they are again and again, you're not surprised. Or you're not repeatedly upset by it. Now, this is much easier said than done. Accepting that can be really painful, especially when it's your parents. Accepting your parents for who they are when who they are falls short of your needs. Dude, I mean, grief, disappointing stuff. That's disappointing stuff. And I don't know where your relationship with your parents fall on that spectrum. Some of this might be your own fears about yourself projecting onto them. Some of it might be real. Some of it's you've heard your mom say judgmental things about other family members. Throw it out there. Just because she says judgmental things about her family members does not mean that she will think it about you, her daughter. It also might mean she will. And I think that before you talk to them, while you are in this fragile state, I want you to get, again, honest with yourself about what you know to be true about them, but also what you know to be true about yourself, and where you might be wrong or where you might have room to be surprised. I'm surprised all the time by people that I think I know everything about. Sometimes I'm not surprised, but I'm also surprised. And I think often we can be, even when accepting someone for their limits, as sad as it may be, I think sometimes once we can accept someone for their limits, there might be surprises within that. And I want you to create space for this conversation might not go as poorly as you think it will, if you enter it with reasonable expectations. If your parents have never been comforting to you in your whole life, if your parents shy away from pain forever, then maybe don't go into this conversation thinking that they're going to have a complete personality shift. But maybe they'll surprise you, Maybe if you go into it knowing who they are, and you can be explicit with them about what you need from them in a non-judgmental way, in a non-accusatory way, maybe you can have some version of a nice, supportive conversation. Something judgmental or accusatory might be, Mom, I know you judge everybody for relationships failing, but I really need you to just be there for me right now. I would maybe not go into the conversation that way. I would go into it with more like, I have something to tell you guys, and I'm really nervous about it because I see this as some personal failure, and I'm worried that that's going to be reflected back to me through your reaction. But I want to tell you because I love you and I need some support from my parents. You don't need to say anything to make it better. You don't need to fix it. But I just want to share with you and be held by you. And then tell them. You could say something like that in your own language and words that feel good to you. Some of those words I even maybe wouldn't use because they wouldn't feel good to me, but that's the spirit of what I would maybe try to say. But man, it's hard to be vulnerable and ask for help from people who you don't think can help you. I relate to that so very much, as a person who struggles to ask for help. It's hard to ask for help from people when you don't think that they can be there. So I understand why you wouldn't want to. Something else I want to throw out. I think that sometimes people are obsessed with having in-person conversations over texts or email. Email might be let's take email out of that, over texting. And I do think that a lot of conversations should be had in person. But I do think there's sometimes value in a text message as a precursor to an in-person conversation, because especially when you know or think that somebody might need to process this in their own way and that you might have a reaction to how they process it, texting first can be a great way to create some emotional distance that can then allow you to get closer in person. So I want to throw out there that you can text them this message and then say, can I come over later? Or can we talk on the phone in a couple of hours? Give them time to process it themselves so that when you both come together, there's maybe a greater chance of them hearing what you need and you not, of course, right now you are in a sensitive state. Of course, you're having these fears about how they're going to react. Maybe give them time to react privately first so that you don't need to read into their initial reaction, because their initial reaction might be their face might drop. They might say, oh my God, no. They might say something like that, and that might confirm your fears for you. Let them do that privately. That might confirm your fear. That might confirm your fears, even if it's not true. Give them the chance to have a reaction. They are entitled to their reaction. 7 years is a long time. You said they love your now ex. And then let them show up for you. So sometimes I am in favor of texting first. I think if you do receive judgment, let's say your parents don't surprise you and they act in the same way that you feared they would. I want to talk about what to do then, because of course that's a possibility. Of course that's a possibility. I think it can be really hard to realize that your parents are not going to be the people that you go to for comfort and support. And if this is the moment that makes you realize that or makes you start to accept that, prepare for that to be another breakup to cope with and to get through. Because I think that even if your parents can't comfort you or don't comfort you in the way that you want and deserve to be comforted, you can still have a relationship with them. It's just going to be different. And you may actually be able to be closer with them in some ways when you accept these limitations or you accept the reality of what your relationship is. It might, I don't know, I don't want to say it'll be closer, because when you can't be comforted by a parent, that fucking sucks. There's no way around that. But I think what you'll have to get to the point is where you then stop going to them for comfort. And that is a hard truth about relationships in general. Sometimes we have to repeatedly see that someone can't be there for us. We try and we try and we try because you're supposed to be there for me. You're my parent. You're my best friend. You're supposed to be better at this. Sometimes we do that for years. And eventually, if what you want is to feel better, feel less resentful towards them, less insecure, less anxious around them, more confident in yourself, more supported by other people in your life, you've got to stop going to them for the thing they can't give you. And dude, that's hard. That's really, really hard. And it's harder and sadder when you're already going through something where you really need them. But if you go to them again and you realize, wow, I've grown in such a way where I have different needs and they just kind of can't give me those needs, then you stop going to them for it. You stop going to them when you're in need of non-judgmental comfort. You stop going to them when you're in crisis, maybe, and you start going to them for other things. You figure out what they are good at. And maybe sometimes there are little breakthroughs where you're, where they surprise you, but you don't, it doesn't become the expectation. And I know it's not simple and I know it's hard, but that will be better for you. That will be better for you. I know this is really hard, but I do think you have to tell them. And I do think you have to tell them not even to receive comfort from them, because we don't know if you're going to receive that, but I think you have to tell them so that you can begin to move on. This is taking up precious real estate in your healing brain right now, the fact that you haven't told them, the fact that you're anxious about it. So you must tell them. I know you can, and I know that you'll be able to deal. Ugh, I don't even want to say you'll be able to deal. Because the reality of life is that sometimes we do just deal with things. And I'm always impressed by the human ability to deal with it, by our ability to like move through something. But that's sad, you know? Sometimes it's sad to think about what we do deal with. It can be kind of like, sometimes that feels as large to me as like thinking about how big the universe is, like thinking about how many sad things a person will deal with in their lifetime. That's a pretty Debbie Downer thought, but that's what I think of when I say I know you'll deal with it, because I do know that you will. And I'm sorry for that. I'm also hopeful. I'm hopeful that you will receive the love and comfort that you want. And I'm hopeful that this could be a turning point in your relationship with your parents. If you really open up and let them be there for you, and they respond to that call, and they want to learn more about how you want to be supported, then this could be a real, positive turning point in your relationship. Maybe it's the moment you realize that even though they are not exactly who you want them to be, or they haven't always been there for you in the perfect way before, maybe now you will start looping them into personal things in a way that feels good for you. Life is long. Who knows? I believe that they could surprise you. And if they don't surprise you, then I know that what's ahead for you is just greater peace. Okay. I love you, and I'm here for you. Thank you for writing in. Hello. If you are watching this on video, you might realize that my hair is now dark. My hair is back to its natural color. I mean, some of it is dye, because this was all blonde, so we had to do something to make the blonde darker, but my root is all natural, and I'm going back to my natural color, and it feels so good. I have not been a brunette. I think I started dyeing my hair in 2021 in New York, year after my wedding. I wanted a change, and now I'm sort of thinking about this. So funny how thoughts just randomly fucking come into our head. 2021 was right around the year where we started to realize that my grandma's health was really declining. We didn't yet know that she had Alzheimer's, but it was fucking clear that something was wrong, and she was no longer doing my hair. My grandma was a hairdresser. She was a hairdresser for 64 years, started when she was 16, and then retired at 80 when she moved to Florida to be closer to my mom and live in an assisted care facility that is now a memory care unit. Really fucking sad. Really fucking sad. But I can talk about it now without being sad, because this part I have distance from. But she had stopped doing my hair. I had always thought that my grandma would do my hair for my wedding, and then I didn't want her to. And I think one of the reasons I said at the time, this is what I said to myself, which I do think is true, is like, I didn't want to yell at her. Like, I was so emotional about what my hair was going to look like, and something about having a family member do it. Like, I didn't want to create any tension between her and I on the wedding day. I'd rather have that tension with, like, the man who does my mom's hair in Needham, the town that I grew up in. But I also think that, like, something had changed in her. And even though she had done my hair, no one had touched my hair before. Up until those years, like, something had changed. And she didn't have her magic anymore, which I feel terrible to say, but that was kind of the truth. And I wonder, now that I'm saying this, like, I wonder if part of me wanting to dye my hair, which we had never done, I had never colored my hair before. She and I had done some glazes before, which isn't like a chemical. It's like a protein wash, essentially, that can kind of boost the color. We had done like a reddish tint glaze, but those wash out, and it's, again, not chemicals. I had never dyed my hair with bleach. I wonder if part of me wanted to, because it was like I wanted to boldly enter this new era where my grandma wasn't going to be there to do my hair, and like wasn't really going to be there to weigh in on my hair and talk to me about it. And It's just funny, the things that we realize in retrospect. Anyway, I wanted to make my hair blonde. So I started dyeing it, and it was really fun. It was really fun. It was perfect for California being blonde. Hair is so personal. Like, sometimes it seems frivolous, and ultimately I wanted to stop doing it because I was spending so much fucking money on my hair. Like, I was spending so much money, and the upkeep was just, it was too much. Like, I'm a lower maintenance person. I care a lot about I care about what I look like, and I care about doing things that make me feel beautiful and confident. So it's not like I'm so low maintenance that I don't do anything. You guys have, if you haven't listened to my episode on Botox, I talk about all of the things that I do. I'm not low maintenance, but the hair was like too high maintenance. Where I was getting it done, he wanted me to come in every, 8 to 10 weeks, which I didn't want to do, and he would often like push back on me a little bit when I wanted to come in later, which didn't feel good. And I wanted to embrace myself again. Not that coloring your hair means you're not embracing yourself. I want to be really clear about that. I think that experimenting with hair color is such a great way to have fun. Beauty can be really fun. I've always said that like experimenting with your hair color is such a low stakes way to make change. Friend of mine, my dead body bestie from high school, her name's Mimi, used to change her hair color all the time. And she has this gorgeous strawberry blonde hair, and she had just a great canvas for changing it up. Like, her skin tone really handles different color really, really well. She would always change her hair color, and I always admired that about her. And I think changing hair is like such a fun thing to do. I am so pro it. But for me, I've just recently in the last year been like really feeling this call to like want to return to some younger self, or like return to self. I feel like has been my motto for this year, and like something I've really been working on. And going back to brunette like has felt like a way to do that. Now it's only been a week, not even a week. It's been 6 days. I got my hair done last Tuesday, and right away I was a little shocked. I was a little stunned when I saw how dark it was, which is so funny, like how going back to what is true to you, going back to your natural color can feel so unnatural. Like, I had gotten used to what I looked like blonde. So it was just sort of surprising. And that whole thought process has been kind of eye-opening to me, how like if you spend, and this is true for your hair color, or I guess any behavior, like if you spend years doing something if you spend years in a certain behavior or doing a certain thing, it doesn't really matter how many years before you spent doing something else. Like, our brains get used to what is recent. That's how new behaviors are built, new pathways in our brain. And even though I had spent, 28 years as a natural brunette, not coloring my hair, the last 4 years made me believe I looked a different way. And it's just been really fun. My sister sent me a funny text though the other day. She's like, everyone, I like posted something on TikTok and people were commenting about how they love my dark hair. My sister texted me and she's like, everyone's commenting on your dark hair as if that isn't your natural color. It's your natural color. And it was just, it was funny. It is funny. I love my sister. That's all. Okay, that's it about my hair. There were a couple of other things that I wanted to, oh yeah, and one more thing about the hair. If you can see, my hair is blown out. It's not blown out perfectly. I don't have a round brush. I have a flat brush, but I blew it out, and I blew it out for you. I blew it out because I was filming this morning. It is early this morning, and I both wanted to like give myself the best chance of being able to look somewhat camera ready early in the morning, but I also wanted to look nice for you when you see my hair for the first time. And the thing about blowouts, guys. So I used to blow out my hair. Every day until I was a senior in college, 22 years old. I would not go most places with my hair curly. Like, straightening my hair was just a part of my routine. I could wash my hair every couple of days, and it was just, I straightened my hair. I did not go anywhere without straight hair. If it was curly, I would throw it up, but I did not go out with curly hair. And then I decided, fuck this. You have curly hair. You better start learning how to live with it. You better start learning how to deal with it. So I did. And I haven't really blown out my hair since. Like, it is blown out sometimes. And I've gone through periods in the last 10 years probably where I've blown it out more. But by and large, it is not a part of my routine. But then when they blew my hair out, when I got my hair done on Tuesday, I was like, damn, this looks good. Like, I understand the allure of a blowout. And then I blew it out last night, and I'm like, wow, you look pretty good. And I do love my natural hair. But I kind of like the way this blowout looks, but I hate how long it takes. And it doesn't even take that long. It probably took me 40 minutes last night, maybe 30 minutes. But I like kept thinking this was a waste of time. Like, I don't have the time to do this all the time, which is kind of absurd. If I have 30 minutes to scroll on my phone in the middle of the day, like, I have time to blow out my hair. And arguably, even though it's worse for my hair to have the heat on it, maybe blowing out my hair is some good time to zone out and think and not be on technology. Like, I've also gotten really into vacuuming. Vacuuming has become like a new hobby of mine because it's like a way to be productive and active and get something done, but that isn't using my brain. Maybe blow drying my hair can be the same kind of thing. The vacuuming thing is kind of funny, and I don't want to turn like cleaning into like a productivity hack. It's not about productivity hacks, but sometimes you, and look, this is also a luxury. Like, I work from home. I can do things like this, but sometimes after maybe I've been working for like 3 hours straight and I've been super locked in and I want to take a break. And like, I've already had lunch and I don't really know what to do, but I don't want to go like full blotto. Vacuuming. Vacuuming is a great alternative. And the vacuuming came up because Brian historically has done a lot of like the household cleaning things. We each have different jobs in our household life. And recently he came to me and he's like, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Like, there's a lot on my plate. And I'm like, all right, let's reevaluate. What can I take off your plate? What can I take on? And I had suggested, I'm like, I can do the laundry. He's like, no, I like the laundry. And then I came up with vacuuming, and I'm now in charge of vacuuming, and I fucking love it. I love watching and we have to vacuum all the time because of Frances. My God, that girl sheds. I love watching all of the hair fill up the clear top tube. Like, I love seeing it. I do want to we have an older model Dyson, so old that the warranty is out. It's an older model, and I don't think it's the best one. And I was talking with my friend Stephanie about this love for vacuuming, and she said that she has a vacuum that has like a blue light or some sort of light that shows all the shit on the floor. Oh my God, I want that. I want that because I find that I've been trying to vacuum only when it's like really sunny or like different parts of the day. The sun will be showing on different parts of the hardwood floor, and then I can really see all the dirt. And I don't like vacuuming the carpets as much because I can't see all the hair in the dirt, but I know that that's the carpets attract all the hair and dirt. Anyway, this is too much about vacuuming. How the fuck did I get to vacuuming? Bonus points if any of you can remember how I got here. Blow drying my hair. Blow drying my hair could be like that same type of activity that's fun and makes me feel good. And it could be like a 30 minutes of thinking time, of phone-free, interaction-free thinking time. So who knows? I do like the way that this looks. We shall see. We shall see. Now I'm actually moving on. There were a couple of like random things that I've loved recently that I wanted to share with you about music and book things. Peter McPoland. Any of you familiar with Peter McPoland? Peter McPoland is a musician. He's in his early 20s. I'm always fucking amazed when I like see somebody that I think is amazing and they're like 24. Finally at the point where maybe I don't feel internal shame about that, which is a whole other topic. But his new album is out, and there is a song on the album called I Love the Animals. Let me make sure that's what it's actually called. Peter McPoland. Yep, Peter McPoland, I Love the Animals. I believe it's track 4 on the album. This song to me is like it's a perfect song. This song is literally about going to the zoo. Like, there's a deeper meaning, but it's about going to the zoo and how much you love the animals and that feeling of being young and getting some money from your mom and wanting to go to the gift shop and get a shark tooth necklace. The song has such an infectious, joyful energy. I was listening to it in the kitchen the other day, and I made Brian come in. He was outside training with Frances, and I came in, and we both were just like, oh my God, this is incredible. There's a point where you start jumping around. It has excellent tempo. Some parts are fast, some parts are slow and really build, and then you just want to jump with your arms in the air. The lyrics are just so explosively joyful. I don't know how else to put it, but I wanted to recommend that song. And I think that song just captures something that I love. I don't know, it captures something I love about music. Wanted to throw that song as a recommendation, and if you like it, definitely listen to the rest of the album. Next, two books. I just finished reading Autobiography of a Face by Lucy Greeley. It is a memoir. Lucy was a poet. She unfortunately died when she was 39, back in 2000 and sometime in the early 2000s. And Lucy, what a brilliant writer. But this memoir is about her experience having childhood cancer in the jaw and the various surgeries that she had in order to, reconfigure the side of her face. Um, this memoir. So Lucy is a poet, so obviously, like the craftsmanship and the sentence level structure and just the writing of this book just kind of blew me away. But I I was so amazed by the emotional like integrity and honesty of the story. Um, the book is really about. You think the book is going to be about what it's like to have cancer, and it is about that. It is about her cancer, but it's really about how that experience completely shaped her understanding of beauty and whether she is beautiful, and how that ultimately that experience made her feel not beautiful, and how her life, parts of her life really became about how do I become beautiful, and then accepting at a certain point in her eyes that she was never going to be beautiful, and that not being beautiful was going to be um, the saddest thing about her. And it is a sad, I will say it's a sad book. I don't know if I felt sad. I definitely cried while reading it. I felt deeply moved while reading it. I did not experience childhood cancer, and yet while I was reading it, I felt the way she talks about her emotions and wanting to be seen, and kind of the things we will do to be seen by others. I felt I could see myself in her writing. I could not recommend this book more. I read it on my Kindle, and now I will. It'll be like one of the books that I search for in used bookstores and I will get a print copy. I might honestly just order it from a like used bookstore website. That's usually how I often get books. I do get books in hardcover in bookstores, but then I get books on my Kindle when I don't have a new book to read. I like to always be reading something. And it is one of the books that I know I will need in print. I must read it again. I don't want to say it's one of my favorite memoirs yet because I haven't read it again, but I believe that this could become one of my favorites. I I want to go back and look at everything that I underlined. Really beautiful book. But the interesting thing about my entry point to Lucy Greeley is that Lucy Greeley was best friends with Ann Patchett. Ann Patchett is one of my favorite writers, and one of my favorite memoirs is Ann Patchett's called Truth and Beauty, which is about her friendship with Lucy. I had first heard about Lucy through this book, Truth and Beauty. I just went up to grab it on my desk. This is one of the covers. I don't know if it's the only cover. And Anne wrote this book after Lucy died. And it's a completely different lens on Lucy. It's about their friendship. So it's about Lucy through the lens of their friendship. This is one of my favorite books, one of my favorite memoirs of all time. I really love memoir as a genre. Memoir, unlike autobiography, which is or biographies, which are just an account of a person's life, the entire thing. Memoir is a very focused story about either an event or a focused set of experiences or emotions or time in a person's life. So Anne's book is about their friendship from when they met until Lucy eventually died. And Lucy's memoir is about her life, specifically about the surgeries she got and the impact on her. It was really interesting reading Truth and Beauty and learning about Lucy through Anne's perspective first. And this book, Truth and Beauty, has tons of letters that Lucy wrote Anne in it. So that was another really beautiful way to get to know her voice. And it was really interesting, like as a writer, to see the differences in her tone and what her writing sounds like when she's writing to someone she knows and loves, versus what it looks like in long form narrative form. I can only recommend reading the books in the order that I read them, which is read Truth and Beauty first and then go read Autobiography of a Face, but you could do them either way. I don't know which one it would be better in retrospect. Like, is it better to learn about Lucy first through Lucy's own hand, through her own words, and then go read Truth and Beauty by Ann Patchett? I want to recommend these books as a pair. They are two of the best. I know I said I won't call Autobiography of a Face the best memoir, my favorite memoir until I read it, but I do think that I've read a lot of memoirs and they stand out to me as two of my personal favorites. Two absolutely incredible, talented writers, and I really recommend reading them as a pair. This book, Truth and Beauty About Friendship, is like one of my favorite books about friendship possibly ever. And how, if you're interested in how friendship can be like, can be as, not can be like a romantic relationship, but can be as life altering and important as romance, then I think that you should absolutely read this book. If you've never read memoir, I know I just said a little bit about it. My favorite genres are memoir and fiction, and I know within fiction there's a lot of other like subgenres, but I love long form story, and I think the memoirs that are my favorite are those that read like novels. And there are lots of bad memoirs out there, but good memoir, I think, gets into the heart of human experience and can be, when memoirists are really honest, man, I mean, when they can approach their memoirs with the same honesty that really good novelists use when writing about their fictional characters, because I do think fiction is just as true as real life when the writer does a good job. I don't know. Memoir can be really one of my favorites. And if you're new to memoir, I think that these books would be a really great place to start. I can't wait to get my copy of Autobiography of a Face. I can't wait to read them together. I need to go back and like study them. I have studied Truth and Beauty. I've read this so many times. I've probably read it in full twice, and then I will often open it up. It's one of the books that sits on my desk. I will often open it up just to read little chunks. Both books are astonishing. Both books are astonishing, and I cannot recommend them more. I love I love books. Such a stupid thing to say, but I really love reading. There is nothing better than the feeling of when I'm in the middle of a book, when I'm in a book that is engrossing me. I have so many moments throughout where I feel so grateful, like so grateful that this thing has my attention. And then when I am not in a book, I can feel kind of lost and like unsure of what to do with myself. Like, it's so great to have a book to read before bed and like to read on the couch when you have a little bit of time. And the feeling of wanting to sit down and read, it's the best. And I find that I really only have that when I'm in the middle of a book. It's hard for me to feel that experience of like, I want to read right now when I'm not in the middle of a book, which is why the Kindle is really useful for me, because I don't have to go too long in between getting a new book. I can just pick one and then start so that I always have one available. If you have any favorite memoirs, I'd love to hear what your favorite memoirs are, just books that have meant something to you recently, songs. I think that's all I have for today. It's been so nice chatting with you this gorgeous morning. I'm going to go make another coffee because the little bit that's in my mug here has gotten cold. I'm going to go check on Frances outside. I just heard her barking, and I'm going to make sure she's good. I'm sure she is. She's probably barking at Squirrel, Simon the squirrel, her arch nemesis in our backyard. And I'll see you next week. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody that you think might like it as well. Leave a comment on YouTube, subscribe, and that's it.